This episode of Scab Talk is brought to you by Lethal Gaming Gear. And welcome back to Scab Talk, everyone. Today's episode, we're catching you up on the Tarkov news. Speaking of news, brand new secondary this month, patch update, minor bug fixes, we'll talk about that. DLSS, again, has gotten another update plus some changes to lighting. You can now turn off lights in Tarkov. We'll talk about that. Nikita leaks. BSG adds something called an account center. Am I saying that right? I never know if it's center or centre. is it all fancy? And then lastly, we'll close out with Muzzle breaks reworks from Reddit.
Very good, very good. So, God, what have I been doing this week? I've been self-flagellating over Lighthouse, pretty much, and getting annoyed because the map sucks, and just, dude, like it's bad. Like people want to see me suffer, and
of course.
I had a stream the other day that was. It was one of the. I think it was probably. I really surely hope that it is the worst stream of this wipe. I had one stream last wipe, which was probably as tilting, although I probably was more successful. Which was when I had to, you had to do it's the ref quest where you have to do like packer kills with the AK-74 UB on streets. And that's really hard because people go to streets pretty kitted because it's quite hard to get out of streets. So people normally quite juiced on streets. So when you're running a packer, like you just die in 2 shots to everybody, and it's really annoying. I got really tilted by that quest last wipe, and it really annoyed me. This wipe, this stream was probably the worst one. I literally, like we literally didn't extract for like 3.5 hours, which was just so bad. And I tried even going to some different maps, whatever. I had a map request to go to Ground Zero at nighttime. So I was like, well, look, I can go and do, this, that, and the other. I had some stuff to farm at least because I was looking to get the Bitcoin farm and stuff like that, and ended up down in the basement and got like shot in the back of the head by some guy in like some random hiding spot in the basement area with M80, and that was literally like the last raid of the stream, and I was just like, oh my god, like I can't even survive like a night Ground Zero thing, and I was so tilted because like someone requested the map through channel points or whatever that I just turned it off. And I was thinking, you can't request anything on my channel anymore.
That's so funny.
No gun requests, no map requests, nothing. The only thing you do is highlight your comment in chat.
So it got really bad.
I was just like, I can't. I actually just can't. Like, I need to be fully under my own steam at this point. Like, it's so bad. So the last stream was better.
Okay.
I played a lot of Lighthouse. I died a lot. But I did get I got a couple of kills. So what I was trying to do last stream was trying to complete. So I've been going on like you would think. The CFDM radios wasn't too bad this time because of the whole cult circle. And I've been trying to get through assessment. That's where I got up to. So the rest of it actually wasn't that bad up until that point. Chumming was annoying because interchange nighttime is just like hard to find people. And if you're charging around finding people, they find you and they shoot you in the head because you don't see them because they're in the corner. So it's a bit tricky, and I actually camped the guy for the last kill of Chumming. I felt quite bad about it, but he just came in chat and was just like, "What the hell are you doing up there, man? Like, why are you just ratting in the mall?" And I was just like, "Last kill of Chumming, sorry." Like, there's nothing. I had no defense. Like, I literally am just the worst kind of person.
Where were you
contributing
camping?
to the demise of this game? I was camping on the cardboard boxes behind the hole in the wall. Oh, sorry, not hole in the wall. The ramp. So there's like behind, like if you go up the ramp, the main ramp, if you go behind it, there's like the barricade, and you can look down the whole the whole corridor.
Looking like which ramp? Because there's a lot of ramps. Which
so like the ramp, the old killer ramp. Like the main one.
The floor?
Yeah, the hole. Yeah, it is called hole in the floor. I want to call it hole in the wall. Yeah, the hole in the floor one where you got Raspberry.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like if you were going up that ramp. I would be directly behind you, behind the kind of fabrics like barricades. And there's that set of cardboard boxes. It's a classic, right? And this guy was just like pottering through Rasmussen, and I just shot him off the top of the box with M61.
I mean, gotta check your corners. Sorry.
I mean, there was no way he was ever going to survive that. Like, there's literally no. He did not stand a single chance. Anyway, so that was the end of Chumming, and I was just like, yeah, it sucks to suck. I'm sorry you had to die that way. And so like got through the rest of it, not too bad. But assessment, it's it's kind of tricky. It's like trying to figure out like whether to try and snipe, take a longer time, play like lean into lighthouse, or whether you just like face plant 100 kits through the
What do you have
chalets.
to do for
Like
assessment?
that's the one we have to kill. It's a lot. 15 PMCs
Oh my god.
south of the water treatment facility.
Oh yeah, and they made that area
That
much
one.
bigger because it used to be like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
It was like tiny. It was like around the bridge or something
was
at one point. It was like
basically.
crazy. It's like Southern Road and a bit of the
Oh
mountain
really? I thought it was like
or something.
basically the area where you had to do that one quest. Remember where before the bridge opened up, you had to mark the marker at like the
Yeah.
BTR looking thing.
Yeah.
I thought it was like just that little tiny quest area.
Something like that. It was really stupid. Whereas like
Yeah.
now it's pretty much it's like halfway through the sunken village or something, and like south of that.
Wow.
So I've been trying to do that, but I also completely neglected because you don't actually need. I think you need Punisher 5 because the lightkeeper requirements are really weird now, and you don't. You need like Tarkov. Actually, no, they got. You never needed like the high end stuff, but I think you needed Punisher 5. You need some weird quests. You used to need like Tarkov shooter like 6 and stuff, and then they rolled some of that back as well. Like it's weird what you actually need for it, but you don't need Punisher 6. So I never bothered. Right? I just like, well, I couldn't be bothered to unlock BT for 762 54R, so I never bothered doing it. So I'm literally at like 0 out of 15, and I was like, well, that's interesting because it's 15 kills for both quests, and like Lighthouse is pretty snipey. Maybe I'll try and do it with the SVD. Like I've never done that before. So I did try that, and I got like I think I got like 2 kills or something. I think it did not go very well given that it's Lighthouse. Then I swapped over from I was like, oh, the SVD is not really working here. Like anytime I'm at close range, I just get shredded. At longer ranges, people have got just better guns, and it's just kind of hard. I had like one fight where I was just way too far away, and I didn't really understand the zero. And like I looked at the thing afterwards, and I was like, oh man, I'm like literally overshoot. Sorry, I'm undershooting by like 50 centimeters, like half a meter. Like, okay, this is like, okay, I just can't shoot at that range. Fine. There's another guy who had like, I had behind a rock, but he just kept like running out and running out and running out and running around and running around and running around in circles and running around and like didn't know where I was. He clearly didn't know where I was, even though I was shooting him with like tracers. I repositioned once, carried on shooting at him, and like literally 15 minutes later, some dude just like jumps over the hill and just nails him with an SMG and runs off. And I was like, no! I hit the guy like 6 times with the SVD over a period of like 15 minutes, and then some other guy just came and killed him. I was like, what? So yeah, it didn't go very well. And then I basically just lost like 2 Scar H's back to back against like people with bolties, because I ended up in like terrible spawns. So I was just like, oh, but I don't know. At least I made some progress. So that's kind of what I've been up to. So I don't know whether I'm going to just like take a deviation away from doing it for a bit or whatever. The thing is, I'm just going to really regret not getting Lightkeeper if he ends up becoming important for something, because he's always important for something, But it's just a bit painful. It's like I wanted to do it a bit differently and like lean into the Lighthouse thing. It's just like, well, this is just the way Lighthouse is, so let's just do it. But even that, like, I'm just not even good at doing that, to be honest. So I'm just like, well, do I just do what I did last time, which is I take a good gun with a red dot on it, and I run to chalets, and 30 to 40% of the raids I just die on the way there to some DMR guy. Don't know, because sometimes like once you get there, you can get like 2 or 3 kills on certain raids, and it's like, okay, rather than me doing like 4 raids in a row where I'm like trying to snipe people, I take a shot, the person never appears again, then I just leave out Southern Road and then I try again. It's like I don't die as much, but it's really slow. It's really, really slow.
I mean, that really sucks if you're playing a map that you hate and you spend like 30 minutes plus in a raid, and then whatever you're trying to accomplish fails at the end. It's like, God, all that time and progression just that sucks.
Yeah,
I don't know. It depends I mean, since you don't like sniping, unless that's changed, I don't know.
Not really. No.
I thought I heard you at some point be like, "Oh, this is kind of fun." You were like, I don't remember.
I kind of enjoyed it a little bit more. I did some random raids with. I don't know. I killed some people with the UMP, and I actually started running because I was like, oh, maybe I should run like a Kedda or something, like just something with the weapon. And I did a couple of raids with like an M700 and a UMP, and I actually enjoyed that much more. I don't know why. There's something about the vibe of it that I quite liked. I think it was partly because it was just like easy to throw on. I don't know. It's one of those weird things where like it doesn't even matter, and it's not even like gear fear. I just feel like if I have a Scar H, which is like 600k with all the gear and all the stuff, and it takes quite a while to build this stuff, right? I think that's part of the problem. And then I'm just like, oh, I'm a really annoying spawn. I can either wait or I could just like try and get to a good position like now, just hope no one's there, and then you run out and then just get shot in the head. I'm just like, what a waste of time. Whereas if just taking like a simple bolty and a very straightforward SMG, just like bam, some mags, off we go. Any old armor, off we go. It kind of feels like you didn't really like. I'm not as like invested in the gear set. It's strange. Like I don't care about the rubles. I'm not really worried about losing money. It's just I'd rather like I almost would rather die just with something throwaway on Lighthouse, especially because when I die to something annoying,
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, it's just like it doesn't feel like the gear is helping. I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually. It
All that
genuinely doesn't
value,
feel like the gear
dude.
is helping.
I mean, that's the meme, right? You spend like 15 minutes assembling Exodia. It's like I got the class 6 plates and the rig, and then the big drum mag and the lower receiver for the Scar to accept the drum mag, stacking M61. Perfectly prepared. You're just like Giga Chad, boom, loner raid, instantly die, running, taking 5 steps. Like, yeah, that sucks.
And it's almost even more than that. It's almost a little bit like I've talked about this a couple of times, right? The like we talked ages ago about like the M4 versus the ADAR or something, and I ended up using this like back when Recoil was crazy, but like I started using the M4 in semi, and it was quite good, and ended up being all right. Back when the M4 was kind of trash and no one liked it, and it's almost the same thing. It's like if I'm in raid with a UMP and an M700, I'm not tempted to play the way that I want to play with like a Scar H with a drum or an MDR with a drum or like RD704 with a drum or anything, 40 Vanders MCX. Like I want to play differently like that, and Lighthouse doesn't want me to play like that. And I'm like almost like lured into a false sense of security, playing in a way that's going to get me killed. Whereas if I've got like a bolty and a UMP, like I'm kind of more careful because I know that I'm going to die easily.
Yeah,
it's like there's almost a psychological element to it.
Right.
It's what some people talk about with like the semis. Like, oh, I'd rather take like a TX15 or like an ADAR because I don't want to like crutch on the full auto and then just spray at somebody and die. I want to know that I have to take my shots, kind of thing. Which is like it's weird thing. It's like you sort of nerf yourself, but to know that you're going to limit your own play style. Because I know I want to play a bit quicker and want to play kind of into situations and close the gap and be close and stuff. So to prevent myself from being able to do that, if I know I don't have the tool set for it, I'm a little bit more like, okay, actually, let's just chill here, and it feels more. Like it almost feels like more justified. I don't know really. It's a weird thing. It's just some psychological thing. So I actually just felt happier with those kits.
I wonder too if it's like your brain associates that gear with like arena mentalities, and then you feel like you're playing arena in a sense. Whereas
Maybe,
when you have like a kind of a thrown together kit, your scav sniper vest and your stock M700 with I don't know, a VPO scope on it. What's a crappy scope? A hammer or something. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
You might this doesn't feel like it doesn't look like it's not an arena kit, really, you know what I mean? So it's like you play more Tarkov-y.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe, I don't know.
I did want to ask just quickly before we get into the topics. Do you know if BSG or Nikita has actually like outright said they're going to like rework Lighthouse?
I don't think so, no.
Do you think it's likely they're going to do such a thing?
I think they could do something.
Because I almost feel like the situation is like you have to like start from nearly scratch. Like I'm not sure because I just always feel like the map has like a fundamental flaw. I don't know what that is, but I just don't think you like some people have suggested, adding like scav, makeshift cover and bunkers, like, take like some containers on the beach and like turn that into like a thing. And I don't know. But yeah, what were you gonna say? Sorry.
I was just gonna say, I mean, that I think a lot of people point out the fundamental flaw is that the focal point of the map is just at like one end and the map layout's just weird.
Pretty sure that's the case.
I don't think they're going to change. I just don't think they have the resource and the capacity or the desire to like completely rework the map. Like
that's what I think too.
Entirely. And so what I imagine they might do is add more cover to the beach. If I was them and I wanted to do as little work as possible to make the game more playable, I would add like a container ship to the beach or something, so that there are ways to traverse without just being in the open, just everywhere. And then I would add another mountain pass around the upper chalet, kind of above it, so that again there's another way, because it's just like right now it's just so there was so many times in the last stream, and I don't want this to be another lighthouse molding thing, although apparently people love it, so whatever. But I think everyone just feels like validated whenever they hear us like about it.
I think it's a big.
There were so many situations where like I was in spots, right, and I was just saying to chat at the time, just like I literally don't have any choices here. Like I can't do anything. Everything other than sitting still is actually reducing my chances of success now, because of X, Y, and Z, whatever it may be, whatever situations I was in. Or I was like, well, I only have there's only one thing I can do. There's nowhere else to be. And it's like, yeah, if you want to traverse around to Upper Chalet. And I mean, I had a lot of people coming in with tips about it, like some people who played Lighthouse a lot more, some people who, like, not necessarily Lighthouse mains, but spend a lot of time like working it out. And the whole thing, it's just like the chess game that we talk about spawns. That's what a lot of people were saying. It's just you got to learn the spawns, understand where they're going to go, figure it out like that. It's like kind of formulaic in terms of the spawn points. So you have to just understand that, and then once you know that, the map's like a lot more playable. But it's just like dominated by the spawn stuff, and it just makes it hard. Like you can predict fairly well where people are going to be and where they have to go, and it's like another one of those things where, because somebody said, people always tell me, I actually had a bit like, not a rant, but just like a mini, just like, oh, it's annoying. I hate it when people turn up and say just in my chat, because I always get this, right? And it's like talking about CFTM, so it's, oh, just go water treatment, bro, like this kind of thing, or like, oh, just run to chalets, and I'm just like, don't say just, because like there is no just. I was like, look at the spawn points on the map, right? There's like 20% of them where you can just run to chalets. The rest of them, you will die doing that. Or like there's a good chance that you'll die. And even if you do get there, you're not first. So somebody could just sit in the corner. I've had that so many times. Like sit in the corner, you're going sweep the corner, sweep the corner, sweep the corner, and then you do the very last one. But because they know you're coming, they basically pre-fire your head before you come around the corner. So you got to see them, monkey brain engage, click button, and then have the server register before they've like hit your head already, because they heard you coming, so they could already like pre-aim you. So there's, they've almost got like 250 milliseconds on you. It's very hard not to die to that. So yeah, I don't know. It's just tough. It's just a tough one. So I don't know. We'll try another strategy. We've done a few different things. I don't mind mixing it up. I quite enjoy the process in some ways, but then I don't like feeling so limited. And that's the thing. When I'm just like, oh, I just don't feel like what else? What am I supposed to do here, right? And like that's why I was like, well, maybe let's just lean into the lighthouse method and try and do the sniping thing. But yeah, that works. You die a lot less, but like it just takes an eternity, which is like fine, because everybody else is trying to counter snipe you. I had one was really embarrassing where like I was just like, is that a guy? And then like he stood up and I was like, oh no, I should have taken the shot. And then I was like, is that a guy? And then I got M61 through the left eye. So I was like, no, I should just shoot. I need to shoot. Like, I'm not very good at spotting people at like super long ranges, like the tiny little lump on the rock. And I'm like, is that? And then I'm dead already. It's like, oh God. Because I'm just not used to it. I don't do that much long range shooting. So other people are like much more like zeroed in than me. Anyway, enough rambling, enough mauling. I did reach level 47. So now I'm onto like turbo dailies that give you like ridiculous amounts of XP. So let's crack on. What should we go on to first? Was there what should we do? Should we do that? We'll do the big patch first, then, I suppose, or the bug fix thing. Was there a bug fix patch separately?
I don't remember the timeline from our previous.
Yeah, I feel like there was. Let me just try and make sure I'm looking at this in the right order. I think there was a random bug fix patch, but I can't remember. So it's very hard to tell on the PSG Twitter, actually.
While I do that, I'll just breeze through the highlights of this one.
Okay, sure.
21st. This one they added the big highlight here is NVIDIA DLSS 4 model presets. So now it's like integrated into the game. You don't have to go through like NVIDIA app. You can just select the drop down box and you get like all the options. I mean, not like every option, because anyways, doesn't matter. You get all the options that do stuff. And which is cool. You get to choose what you want based off your thing. So that's neat. They also another highlight I would say is like they added an option to disable volumetric lighting in graphic settings, which caught me by surprise. But I guess we'll maybe circle around back to that.
Hmm.
I don't know if there was any other major stuff in here that I particularly saw. Oh, kick ability to kick breach doors while prone. I had no idea you could do that. It's just some of these things are like, what the heck?
Yeah,
I
some
don't
of them are
think there's
quite
any.
funny.
It is mostly just like these weird, odd. Oh, fix the sped up AI footstep sounds in certain cases. That was a weird one too. It's like you just hear like the pitter
Yeah,
patter.
so strange.
Yeah.
Sounds like my 2-year-old like running down the hallway. There's a fixed money splitting into separate stacks when selling multiple items to traders is quite good. Because at the minute it's like goes into all different stacks and you have to merge them later. It's like super
Yeah.
annoying.
Was that like a thing that previously did work? Like it would go
Yeah,
into. Oh, really? Okay. I can't. I didn't even
yeah.
know.
It wasn't for ages, and then they did it, and then they undid it.
Okay.
A classic. It's a
Yeah.
proper classic.
Mhm.
Was there
Um.
anything else in here?
I
I mean,
mean,
yeah. So the DLSS 4 thing is good, right?
yeah. I know
This is
people.
now on preset K, which is cool. So you don't even have to do anything really in NVIDIA app. So if once you've got it all set to default, basically they've got the instructions there if you've fiddled around. But
Mhm.
now in the settings, if you go into graphics, there literally is NVIDIA DLSS and then DLSS preset as another drop down. So you just pick K in there, or you could pick one of the others. It's nice that it's in the game.
Yeah.
I'm actually quite pleased that they added it there. I thought they were just going to update it so that it automatically picked up the new one, but the fact they've given you the choice, it's actually
Yeah.
kind of
That's
neat.
even
Because you can
better.
fiddle around with it, right? Like you can
Yeah.
do different ones if you want. If you're seeing performance problems because you're GPU bottlenecked for whatever reason, then you can pick one of the others that's not as intensive if you're on like an older GPU and stuff. So it's cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Speaking of
Um,
performance,
yeah.
disabling volumetric lights. Whoa! Did not see that coming.
I haven't checked to see what this does. I don't know whether volume. I mean, again, it's one of these things where it says disabling it will improve game client performance on all locations for players with low end PCs. It's like, well, is it a GPU thing? I don't really know. I'm not sure.
Largely,
Clem
yeah.
hasn't made a video about it yet. So, like, if it's a GPU thing, I don't matter. I don't care. I really don't care. I've always got
Yeah.
GPU headroom in this game, so it doesn't really matter. I didn't see any like let me be honest, I haven't played around with it that much since this came out, so I don't know fully yet what the deal was. But like you said, we were going to circle back around to this. There has been a few things pointed out on Twitter, and I did actually check this out, and it is crazy, and it is true that if you turn off the volumetric lighting, the bloom or whatever you want to call it, it's kind of bloom, whatever you call it, that happens in the air. It's like when you turn a fog light on in a car, right? When you turn on a flashlight, you've got like
Yeah.
the air itself like picks up and like reflects back at you.
That's the volumetric effect. The volumetric
Yeah,
lighting.
with volumetric lighting off, it's just completely clear.
Yeah.
Only like visible surfaces light up. So
Mm-hmm.
you no longer blind yourself with flashlights. So you can put on, like I had 2 Army Tech Predators on a gun earlier just to have a look. Oh yeah, is this the Clash to You monster? Yeah, so this is going to be like unplayable for other people to see you, and you could see them perfectly fine. So it's actually a massive buff to flashlights, weirdly.
Well,
Um,
yeah. I mean, yeah, it is interesting that they did it like this because I didn't really think about the flashlights implications. I mean, I say that I thought
they
about it.
probably didn't either.
Like, here's the thing: I hate the flashlight meta, and like, it's basically a problem where it's like I feel like I hate it, but like, if my opponent's going to use it, then it's like I'm gonna use it. You know what I mean? Like, it just
Yeah, I know.
so, and then it like that makes it even worse because then you're both blinding each other, so like you both can't see anything, and like when the
Yeah.
firefights are just like strafing back and forth, spraying each other, and then you get the aim punch, like it's just not really fun. So I would like if all the flashlights were just like I don't know, maybe you could do some blinding. Doesn't like if you look at the old screenshots, beta, and maybe even footage of maybe that was alpha actually of Tarkov back in the customs, and he uses the flashlight. Like it looks so good. It's like so different too. I think it's probably real time. I'm not actually sure what's going on there. It looks really good. So yeah, I don't know. I'm don't I don't want to be the cause of my own death here because I don't want to say anything, but realistically, I'm not sure if this should be a thing because, as you're saying, there is potential for abuse for people who don't take advantage of the disabling volumetric lighting. I don't know. I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's just Tarkov, but like,
Yeah.
I do
I
think
don't know if
the
there's
7
sorry.
flashlights is a little ridiculous. That's all I was gonna say.
Yeah. The only thing I was going to say is I don't know if there's anywhere in the game that you actually benefit from volumetric lighting, like where it looks bad.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's gonna look more realistic and atmospheric. I would say the one thing I will say is interchange. Interesting enough, is like very much darker, but clearer. And I was actually surprised like how much like volumetric lighting they use. I never really thought about it, but
Mm,
that's why like oftentimes, which like makes sense, but like when it's like kind of overcast and foggy, it gets like even more harder to see stuff because it's
yeah.
interacting. All the volumetrics are interacting with each other. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I kind of just feel like for me, it's going to be an automatic disable, and I hope it stays that way because dear God, yeah.
Yeah, I need to have a look at actually some other comparisons rather than just flashlights. But
I would love. I wish we had
uh,
a comparison of the blind because I imagine you still get the blinding effect, but I wonder what's
I
the
guess so.
difference between the two. Like how much of a um like there's probably not a it's probably not as blinding, but there's got to still be some type of blinding because there's almost like a little static,
Yeah.
you know, effect that goes onto your screen when the flashlight's pointed directly at you, and you can kind of see it when it's not directly at you. It was like kind of
Hmm.
like shimmer at very certain off angles.
I'm actually looking. There's it's just popped up underneath. Very Bad Scavs actually did a comparison with it on and off
Oh,
with the volumetric, which is quite interesting. It was underneath the main. Uh, it was underneath the main like Tarkov update.
oh, okay.
So not the actual post for the this one. If you keep going, there you go. And he's got volumetric on, post effects off,
Okay.
and then he's got post effects on in the next one.
Okay, so we got volumetric on, post effects off. Right, this is interchange. Okay, so
That's his post effects on,
sure, sure.
and then he turns
Yeah,
it off
yeah. Which
with
that's
post
pretty
effects still
drastic.
on.
I
Yeah,
mean,
and then that's off and off.
mhm.
So it seems like it always turns off a lot of the post effects filters too. But he basically said like, seems like volumetric lighting does increase performance, but reduces visibility brightness in a lot in certain locations.
Yeah, because there's
It's
just
kind of intriguing.
so much volumetric lighting. I didn't realize how much there was.
Mm.
Um, so I mean, yeah, I
Depends on how much the darkness can be countered with gamma.
yeah, that's the thing, right? It's like I mean, at this point, it's just like I'm turning on volumetric, and then when I play interchange, just boost up my gamma. But I just you know what'd be nice is like instead of like making it so complicated, like I mean, I just surely they could do post effects presets for each map. I mean, it probably would take some work,
Would be nice.
but that would be like one, fairly
Mm.
elegant solution to the problem with different lightings have or different maps, having different lights with different graphical settings. But I
Yep.
digress.
Okay, so there was a little bug patch. The other one, I did actually link it, but I kind of got my patches confused, and there was nothing really in it except for the inability to fully repair ballistic plates when using a repair kit. So now repair kits repair back
Oh,
to
that's right. I remember. Yeah.
well, they repair both numbers end up the same when you press repair, which they didn't used to. So if you had like a 40 out of 40 plate, it got damaged to 20 out of 40, and then you repaired it with a repair kit. It used to go to something weird like 35 out of 38, and you had to press it a couple of times. It's like really stupid. Whereas now it goes back to full. I mean, I still think because of the way that, well, what's kind of interesting now is that like repair kits are not like meta anyway, because they cost a lot. The traders have got really cheap. I think you pointed this out to me as well since you last played. Like repairing a lot
Yeah.
of stuff since the armor update had gotten really cheap because most of the components to armor, rather than it being like, oh, it's all titanium like it used to be or whatever, it's like now like it's all aramid, except for the actual plate parts. And then like helmets and things as well also got caught with that. So like Ulax, like all those helmets are just really cheap to repair. So everything's super cheap. So the armor repair kit's like not really even worth it. But then the actual repair kit and repairing with the traders actually has like different skilling. So when you repair with an armor repair kit, it does your like heavy armor or light armor skill based on which type of armor it is that you're repairing. And that needs to get to 10 before you could do the enchantments. The enchantments suck. Enhancements, I should say. But the
I forgot
enhancements
about the
enhancements suck, right? They're just not very good. They're just bad. So they're like kind of a non-feature. It's another one of these things where like there's a mechanic in the game, but because it's been nerfed so heavily, it's just like a non-feature. Always they're so worried about it being like OP or meta or something that it's just like a non-feature. It's a bit like a lot of the ammo stat stuff. But because of the way this is the crazy knock-on weirdness of Tarkov, right? Because of prestige, and you need charisma like 20 or something or 15 to prestige. You get charisma when you repair with the trader. So anybody who's like intending to prestige at all is now not using the repair kits. Definitely not, because they need to repair with the trader to get charisma, because you get charisma skill level when you repair with the trader, etc., etc. But then yeah, so it's also just a lot cheaper. I often repair with mechanic these days because it's so cheap overall. But at least it's fixed. You know, at least it's now not just like distinctly worse repairing using the repair kits, because that was kind of annoying, to be honest, for a long time. But like obviously not a massive deal. It didn't really matter too much. All right. Okay, is that it for like update things?
Yes, I mean other stuff. I guess miscellaneous would be like Nikita's.
Yeah.
Leaks,
Maybe we'll
quote
do the account
unquote.
center thing.
Okay.
Maybe we'll do that. We'll do the account center next. That's still kind of an update. So they took down their website the other day, and people were like speculating, oh, is this going to be battle pass or something like this, new cosmetic, whatever, like all that kind of stuff, because they said at some point they were going to do battle pass for arena and things like this. So they're gonna have to do a bit of patch for that probably. But instead, they said the first iteration of Battlestate Games account center is available to players. The main purpose is to centralize user authorization on Escape from Tarkov and arena websites, and to facilitate interaction with profile functionality. In the current iteration, the following tools are available: the ability to register and authorize on official websites via the account center. All additional profile security settings have been moved to here. The ability to link as well as check the status of the Twitch profile. And in the future, this is probably the most interesting part, in the future, users will be able to interact more extensively with the profile, as well as the ability to link third-party accounts to the Battlestate Games profile. For what? I don't really know. I mean, yeah, we could already do that with Twitch. There was one other thing that I haven't checked this out too much, to be honest, but one other thing that I've been asked about was apparently they've added like a change email button to the account center. So this has been like an ongoing thing for a long time, where you can't actually change your email address, or it's like very difficult to change your email address. And especially if people have like old emails, or they registered with like a work email or like an old Hotmail that they got hacked and they don't have it anymore, but they can still play the game, but they can't actually like properly get into their profile. Even when you talk to support, like they just won't change your email, partly for security reasons. But I think they've got themselves into this loop before where, that you're just like stuck and they can't confirm that it's you. You can't convince them that it's you. And so you just end up like locked eternally out of your account, which is like really weird. So anyway, they added this thing. Now, apparently Airwing did a video and like put it in there. I hadn't actually seen it, but someone messaged me and said, oh, Airwing was able to like go in and click change email, but when they went and loads of other people went, it's grayed out. It doesn't work. And I went to go and check on mine, and it says, yeah, not available at this time. So I was like, well, maybe there's something broken with it, and they turned it off. So I don't know. So if you were looking to change your email, I know there's quite a few people who really were looking forward to being able to change the email in the profile, and they can't for whatever reason. Still doesn't work. So I don't know. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe you'll end up putting Discord integration in with the Battlestate Games account or whatever. I've no idea, but I can't really think of that much interesting stuff outside of Twitch drops that you might want to actually have another account linked to this for.
Yeah,
maybe
really
Steam in the future. Who knows?
Yeah, I really don't know if I understand what it is. Like, it's just I
think
don't
it's because they
understand.
had like, I think you used to have to log into Arena separately, I think is the deal.
Oh,
So
okay.
I think the Arena and Tarkov used to have different They just have different websites. They still kind of are actually. Like the account center, you click on the arena, it opens up the arena page. It's a bit weird. I don't really know. So yeah, the whole thing's a bit odd.
is this a
people are expecting
client?
something more.
Like, is this like an application you download and run, or is it just all on the website? It's called the account
I think
center.
it's the web.
Okay.
I think it's just the web, unless I'm mistaken. I'm pretty sure it's just the web version.
So it sounds like they're just trying to simplify and condense their account management system into a centralized place. Hence account center. I don't know.
Maybe I'm wrong actually, because I can't actually see where you get into this. Huh. Not sure. I don't know. Oh, I don't know. Another one I need to have to look into more. All right, so slightly more interesting. The Nikita leaks, not that much this time around. There was one post that he put up, and it's just a contactless, like RFID style card pad thing. And there's a card, and it says construction and logistics. It says Labris. And people have obviously gone like, tinfoil hat, trying to figure out what it means. The Y in Labris is like the Greek symbol psi, which could be anything. It's like psi, psychic stuff, like what there's lots of stuff. It's like the symbol in physics for like probability wave function things, or about like quantum mechanics and stuff like that as well. So like there's lots of different things that it can mean. I don't know. There's not enough to go off, but it does make me wonder, because I keep like harking back to that one that they did, that like artist picture where there's the door that's been like someone's tried to hack it open with an axe, and there's like a pad there. I think someone even like reposted that picture somewhere in the comments, I think, or maybe it was on a different one. Oh no, they did. Yeah, they did actually post it. It's like quite far down. Another one that looks kind of like Streets or something, and that's the one with the 428 that was just driving everyone absolutely insane at one point. And there's like a key, and there's a keypad on that, because like we don't have any keypads in Tarkov, right? At the moment, we only have like card swipers in
labs, primarily
in labs. Yeah, and then like one now in factory tunnel to get to labs. There's a transit. Yeah,
that's a key.
And then
that's a key.
I think actually, is it swipe? Oh no, maybe it isn't. Maybe actually, I can't remember if it is or not. But yeah, you have the one in interchange for sure.
That'd be really cool.
Do you need to swipe? Yeah, I don't know. I was complaining about that one the other day, actually, as a side tangent, because I had a labs card on my scav, and I was like, man, I wish you could go to labs as a scav. Like, it'd be funny. It'd be fun. I don't really see any like justification not to. If you find the labs card, it'd be awesome if you could go there. Because what am I going to do otherwise? I'm just going to take the labs card out of the raid, and then I could just go as my PMC. But it's it'd be cool if you could go as a scav. Yeah, actually, something this I'll make this one quick because it's not too crazy. But I did actually do some kind of like scav investigation. I was like thinking that there was going to be some like meta strat, and I was like, is this going to be so good? And I started looking at, because I was trying to farm up stuff for the Bitcoin farm. That's kind of one of the things I've been doing, getting to Bitcoin farm 2. I need like a bunch more PSUs, and I was like, can I just like farm rather than, because like it's so much easier doing it on scav. We talked about this previously, right? Like scav is kind of OP for like finding items, but that's sort of fine. But I was like, man, you got like the timer there. So you go in and then you have to find stuff, then you leave, and then you've got the timer. And I was like, man, what about we come up with a strategy instead where we play scav and you play a map that you want to play, and then you go and loot the stuff. And then when you don't find the things you're looking for, you like really focus farming. You don't find the things you're looking for. You go to one of the transits and you move to another map, and then you go there, and then you find that map. You don't find the thing, and then you transit back, and then you go back and forth and back and forth. And as long as you can keep food on you, then you were kind of all right. And then secondly, I was like, man, what if you can transfer stuff out? That's gonna be crazy. You can just go back and forth. But you need money, so you need to go somewhere that has like cash registers or safes or whatever. And eventually, because I was on ground zero, and I went to one of the safes and got like 4K, and then tried to do the stuff. You can't transfer as a scav back to stash.
Oh,
which sucks. I was like, oh, that's annoying.
And it might be
maybe this is a new epic
strat, but
I know. I think it's probably good that you can't. But
yeah.
It kind of reminded me, because on that same vein, because I was like, oh, is this something cool? Because I thought I'd like figured out something that people aren't doing. Because then effectively, if that had worked, and it sort of still works, right? Like if you're looking for something specific, you can kind of avoid the timer, the scav timer, because so long as you have a source of food or water in each raid, you can just hop back and forth between the two. The transit queue is like prioritized, so you get inserted in real fast into a raid. So you could just like scav endlessly quickly between two different maps and just go back and forth, and it's quite good. And it's easy to get to the transits too because you scav, so you can just like run around on the surface and do whatever. So I was like, God, could I like focus farm like streets and ground zero and just go back and forth between the two? The ground zero one is at MVD, and then the streets one is the only one that you can do behind the truck. But yeah, and in the end it didn't work out. And I actually ended up not really needing it. So the weirdest thing was that I've been like struggling for whatever. Like first one was CFDM radios, and I was like, right, make the thumbnail, CFDM radio hunt, like we're gonna do this thing. I literally logged in, went to the cultist circle, got both of them straight away. Next time I was like, right, we need to get, I can't remember what it was that I needed for scav. I think I needed to load, it was either PSU or something else, I can't remember. Something. I was like, right, we're going to do this like scav strategy. We're going to go back and forth between the two maps. Did you very first raid, like first computer or whatever, just like everything I needed. I was like, what's going on? Like, this is ruining my like YouTube titling and thumbnailing for the live stream. This is crazy. So I mean, it was quite lucky. It was quite good. But yeah, no, that's my random aside. I've like been doing a bit of that this week, which is kind of fun. But anyway, so we've got this like this labs kind of looking card. I don't know, communications and logistics. I mean, it sounds like I don't know, some contractor that like Terra Group would have in, I imagine, to do stuff. Like, because that sounds pretty, it looks pretty formal.
Has the word labs in it?
I mean, yes. Yes. I don't think there's been any great tinfoil hat theories yet.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen any good conspiracy theories so far as to what this might actually be, but it's one of the Nikki leaks. There was another one. There was another post. It wasn't really Nikki leak. It was just a post from Nikita, and he said, "So as we stated last year, we started this year with bug fixing, optimizations, gathering your feedback, and so on. So far, more than 200 bugs fixed, with 11 patches starting this year. More fixes and optimizations are planned to be uploaded ASAP." So everyone obviously said in the comments, "Fix your game, as usual." What's crazy is that they actually probably have done quite a lot, and it does still feel like there's still quite a lot of bugs, which is which is like it's one of those crazy things where like the game is still I don't know. It's like the game's still like fully playable, but it's like there's so many just like niggles everywhere, right? Like and annoying things where they go like, "Oh, we've fixed the rubber banding in raid," and then you go and play your very first raid, and it's just like, and you're like, "You didn't. Why? Why did you even say it? Just don't like why?
Well, I mean, to be devil's advocate, maybe they fixed a particular issue that affected, The other thing I was gonna say is like some of the stuff is like not technically bugs, but more like, hey, could you take a look at this mechanic or / feature again? Because I don't like it doesn't feel like, case in point, the shoulder swapping when you hit the corners, it swaps back to the other shoulder to do the animation.
Yeah.
And like I don't know if it's like a technical issue. Like they would have to like
I know what you mean.
Add another system to the other shoulder. Like basically it's like it can't just like tick a box, it's like we gotta do all this dev work. But it is really annoying. And it's like it's not a bug per se, but it's like one of my it's on that list where it's like, yeah, this is just how Tarkov is, and you just have to deal with it,
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like it's not a bug, but it's a poorly implemented feature.
It's how it feels, at least. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not like misbehaving particularly. Like that's sort of like it was built, like it's working how it was built, right? It's not like it's not working in a way that is unexpected from the devs. Like they made it do this. They made it work this way.
Yeah, like presumably, yeah. But like to
save a bit of time, I guess.
Well, I don't know, because that's the thing is like maybe they made it and no one ever thought to hit the corner. They just went to the and they tested it. It's like, oh look, it just works. And then
I guess.
I don't know. Yeah, it's like I don't know, but at any rate, it's just like, yeah, and like don't get me wrong, I'm like happy to see the ability to breach doors while prone be fixed as a bug, but like I
want to see the animation for that.
Yeah, that would be great, but it is kind of one of those things where it's like, man, it's like if I don't like, I'm glad that they fixed all these bugs, but it feels like it's not enough. Like it's not the bugs that I've
Yeah,
experienced. You know what I mean?
yeah, I guess that's the thing about it. It's like, oh, you may have fixed, and that's great, right? It's great that you've
Oh
done
yeah,
this, right? It's
absolutely.
like you fixed like 209 or 200 bugs or whatever, which is fantastic. I'm never going to complain about that. But it's like 200 bugs that people don't necessarily even ever see, because some of the ones on the list are things like people being able to take the mounted machine gun off and stuff like this, where
That sounds like a
I know
cool
like
bug though. Can we keep that?
I know Airwing quick because like, we had that before. We actually did have that previously, and
Really?
anyone was able to do it. Yeah, and then Airwing posted on that one and just said like, "Oh man, how did I like miss the opportunity on that?" And Gingy actually replied to it was just like, "Yeah, only cheaters could do it
Oh,
this time around, apparently." So you could like take off the Utahs, whatever, and just like nail people with it. Like I have a clip. I actually saved a clip specifically of me doing it because I thought it'd be funny and just like it's one of those clips that you can't get again. I did it in offline, but you can't like once it's fixed, you can never get that clip
wait, I'm
again. So I was like.
confused. You did it. You cheated?
No,
This is
they're
the
taking
older
the machine gun
version.
off the thing. This is the old one, like months
Okay,
ago. Yeah,
okay.
and you could do. I can't remember how. I think what you did was you grabbed the gun
Hmm.
and then you tried to like. I think you did the fold bipod button
Oh
or something,
wow.
and it like dismounts, but it's really glitchy. It's like
Yeah.
super glitchy. And you try to move, and it's like doesn't want
Uh
to
huh.
go,
Uh
but you
huh.
can like force it, and like the belt is like
So
stuck to the
funny.
wall still, and the belt stretches out. There's all these like bullets with an invisible tie, like just pulling through the air.
Yeah,
It was so funny. I was like, I have to try it in offline. This is like, yeah, this is ages ago.
that's so
And
funny.
I tried it then, and just like got a clip of it just for just for history's sake.
Yeah, yeah.
And but yeah, this one like I'd never seen. But again, that's the thing. It's like that's great that you fix the stuff,
Hmm.
but like we never interact with that. Like you never see that, and never see the prone, door thing, whatever. It's like the other stuff that does matter, like the hitching in the raid and those kind of things. That's like the shoulder swap. Like those are the things that have like high impact issues because they annoy people all the time.
Yeah.
Vaulting not working properly, people sliding all over the rocks on Lighthouse. Like another one of the things that makes me really hate that map. It's just like
Yeah.
impossible to traverse half the time, and it's like 3 centimeters step in front of you. Vault simply won't work. Jump does work, but as soon as you do it,
Right. You
you're
just
like off on
glide.
ice skates up the mountain. Yeah, it's like all of those things. They're like super high impact stuff that's been around forever, and
Hmm.
that's what gets people to kind of lose faith, I think, in the system. When they're like, "Well, we fixed all these things," it's just like, "Yeah, but I've never seen any of that stuff in Raid."
Yeah.
So it's,
Yeah.
it's a good point.
It's tough
It's a good
though.
point.
So they'll
It is. It is. It is.
um I mean, and otherwise, I think that's like, oh, I guess just quickly to mention, they posted, because I haven't seen them posting this as much, but they posted a cheater spreadsheet update.
Mm.
7,000 cheaters were banned with the support of Battle Eye Anti Cheat. I guess this is for, I don't even know. I like virtually never look at this stuff. I don't know if it actually says a date, but there's a bunch of names you could go through and look them up if you want. Oh my god, does it
Yeah, I
say
saw a lot of people were
GigaBeef?
saying.
No.
I saw there's a lot of people saying that they weren't getting any reports, and then like a load of people suddenly got a load of reports at once. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really know. Oh, there's like one random. There's just like a random thing that I'm just going to mention now is that it seems like the raid end hit, damage done, armor damage, whatever, like that stat screen is just really broken. Sometimes you just can't
Didn't
trust it
they?
at the moment.
How did you say that? Didn't they add a patch note where they said they fixed some type of damage interaction? Or was
There
that a.
was one in the big patch one, which was about
Yeah.
plates that just didn't take damage at all.
Yes, yes, yes. And I wasn't sure because I remember reading that, and I wasn't sure if that was a um like if I clicked on the wrong link or was looking at an older patch because I know there was the neck hitbox debacle that was short lived. Um,
Well,
and
you
then there
say
was,
that.
oh god.
Yeah, that whole situation, I'm just kind of like lost my interest in it, right? It was like I had so many people being like, the arm bug is back, it never got fixed, like it's not working.
The
I
one
saw
where
I again,
like which arm bug
yeah, that you
again?
shot through
Sorry,
the
you
arm
have to remind
where
me
you
because
sh-
there's
where you
been
shot
so many bugs. You see what I mean? It's just like you
The
just
one
have
where
to
you
learn
shoot
to
through the
accept
arm.
Tarkov.
The one where you shoot through the arm and then it hits the plate, that does damage to the plate, and then does no damage to the thorax, even though it's high pen.
Okay.
And then I had people coming back as well, being like, "Oh, the neck bug is still here. You know, I'm still dying to this shot or that shot." Like I hadn't tested it again since my video, and then I saw like a clip from, and yeah, again Airwing, and he one tapped somebody, and it was like, yeah, maybe, I don't know, but he like one tapped somebody with T45 or something. I mean, so this whole thing might be,
Just to verify, it's been some time, but there is no more fragmentation in the game, right? Like that's long gone. Yeah.
as far as I understand, yes. It was quite funny the other day. I was like talking to somebody about something. I genuinely can't remember what it was, and I quite confidently asserted a thing, and then I was like, you know what, right? Like I've got very like 99.9% confident in this thing, but you actually just can't be with the FT. I was like, I don't remember when I probably tested this last like maybe 6 months ago. It could have changed for all I know. I don't know. You can't like in Tarkov. You have to constantly, if you're like Tarkov Science in any respect, you have to constantly be retesting things that you already know, because stuff just like changes underneath you without you realizing. Right?
Yeah.
It's like really annoying. And so I was like, maybe it is different now. Like I can't test everything every day. Like so I just don't know anymore. But like as far as I'm aware, yeah. So it's like with the fragmentation thing, it's just like, when was the last time I did a frag test? Probably a year ago. I haven't seen any indication of fragmentation coming back. People were asking about that for the neck hitbox thing, and I was just like, nah, because it's too specific. Where I can make it happen every time, and if I don't do it in this specific way, it doesn't happen at all. So like I don't think so, no. But yeah, I'm pretty sure fragmentation is completely gone. But yeah, we shot some guy with like I think it was T45 or something, like one shot him to the chest with 3 class 4s or something like that. And people were like, well, maybe his thorax was damaged. Like, well, is that likely to know? And anyway, he got to the end screen, and it was like 5 damage. He'd killed 2 players, and it was like 5 damage done to body, like 100 damage to armor. And he was like, I literally killed 2 people. Like, what?
He did
This doesn't even
5
make sense.
damage to body and 100 to armor, and he killed 2 people.
Some number to armor. I don't remember the exact number, but he was just like nonsensical. Like, there's no possible way that even makes sense.
In there.
Yeah, it just is not. That's just not working. So like, whether that's got something to do with the bug, maybe the armor bug makes the number go screwy. I don't know, but just take the end screen with a pinch of salt for the time being, because it looks a bit weird in a few different situations. I think I had one as well that looked like very strange. I'm like, really? I don't know. So yeah, just watch out for that. Just a PSA.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
Yeah, I mean, I just couldn't be genuinely with the ballistic thing, the armor plate bug stuff. It's just like, look, I've reported on it already. I just can't be bothered now to go and check it again. It is what it is, right? Like I know I can't be bothered. So maybe I'll test it again in a couple of months to see if it's still the same or not. But like it's not really changing my behavior in any way. Just sometimes people fall over in one hit. Sometimes you fall over in one hit.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is.
Yeah. Oh boy. Okay, so switching gears a little bit. Do you want to talk about the muzzle brake rework?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay.
So yeah, this was a post that was recommended to us by I think it was Spinman in my Discord, I think. If it wasn't, forgive me. But I think it was just about like sparking a conversation about muzzle brakes and the potential rework for muzzle brakes, because like some stuff does come on Reddit that's actually good, and people do post like quite decent critical analyses of various things. And this was one of them, which it's not necessarily, don't necessarily agree with everything, but it's kind of a starting point for discussion. So the 2 major issues, in my opinion, before we kind of dive into it, is the sound of suppressors and then the balance of suppressors. And these 2 things are sort of related in some ways, but the balance in terms of like stats primarily, recoil and that kind of thing. And then, yeah, as the audio. So Common complaint that you hear late wipe is how dead the map feels, even if you do hear the occasional shot pop off and find dead bodies. It's pretty simple to explain why suppressors are too strong currently. I mean, I reported on this before about the 100-meter thing. But yeah, they bring the range of hearing shots down too far, too quietly. Muzzle breaks work underneath the two-piece combos, despite that not being physically possible. This is also why long-range gunfights feel so bad, especially when you're ambushed. There's no counterplay. People don't have to reposition if you have no clue where they are because they're 300 meters away on a random rock, looking at you, Lighthouse. This is a shame because it means players are reversed to long-range maps, and with every map rework, they all get more and more closed off, pushing everyone into closer range fighting, where you have the other audio issues. So they said the solution requires subsonic ammunition for actually suppressed audio. Suppressors with supersonic ammo will still be hearable from a long distance. It'll just change the sound of the shots a little. I think that's referring to realism, I would guess.
Yeah,
sounds like it.
I think it should be quieter, but it's like a different sound profile. Like you don't get as much of the big boominess, I think.
I don't know exactly how much it changes. I've never heard a suppressed weapon fire. I've only ever heard loud guns be shot, so I don't actually know. That'd be interesting to know. And the thing is, though, I don't know whether we'd need somebody who actually knows about this, really, to determine on that specific question. I kind of don't care because it's realism, so I'm not really that bothered, right? It's really what matters is the game and
Speaking
whether it makes sense
strictly
for the game.
Gameplay mechanics, this person's saying you have to have subsonic emission for it to be as is currently.
Actually, I guess so, which I think kind of makes some sort of sense. I mean,
and then they could just say increase the range of subsonic shots from 100 to 150 meters. So, like, basically, if I'm understanding this right, they are saying that suppress subsonic bullets will sound as is currently. Like, basically, the cutoff is like once you get to like 95 meters, then you can hear the suppress sounds.
Basically.
So now that would be like 150 or 149, I guess.
So quite a bit further away.
Yeah.
I've got thoughts about that, but let's carry on first so we can address it all as a whole. Muzzle devices no longer function underneath suppressors, reducing the recoil, reducing stats as suppressor, all that you get. Flash hiders now actually hide flash, crazy stuff. I've never really tested that, but I think that's true that they don't do anything. Muzzle brakes redirect gas and have a larger visual feedback from the perspective of other people, so it's easy to spot Mr. Juice Cannon, who now thinks his foul with the tanker brake is now the meta. The later white raids would now feel a lot more active. Snipers would have to actively reposition, and the map could be opened up a bit more for them at the same time. Unless they tried to stick to mid-range shooting, calibers like 300 Black or pistol calibers, especially 45 ACP, would get a fair bit more use on night raids. People try to sneak around. People might default to something like a bird cage instead of immediately fiddling around with the biggest suppressor they can find. I can run tracers and go loud without feeling like an idiot because I can't hear everyone, but they can hear me, that sort of thing. So, like, I get it. Like, I think it makes sense, this. If you were to, so just kind of like going back to the first point, if you were going to suddenly make it so that only subsonic ammo makes you actually suppressed, like it is now, my gut feeling is that you just don't need to increase the range anymore.
Yeah, I kind of
because it's so hard to hit someone at 100 meters. I don't know, like they're slow. Like the bullets are so slow and they arc like a complete like crazy thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways you could do it, but yeah, I do, because also there just isn't a lot of long distance opportunities in Tarkov, like the exception being Lighthouse and like Woods and like parts of Interchange, but everything else is kind of like, I mean, they're just like, to get 300 meter sight line, that's really hard. That's like a big ass. Like I said, it's like Woods and Lighthouse. I don't think that's possible on like, maybe now with the customs rework, but anyways, I digress. So yeah, I don't know if you necessarily need to change that. Personally, I'm kind of in agreement with you.
Yeah, I'd be interested. It's an interesting one. Just being like, I'm just trying to go through my head and think like, what guns are actually like decent and actually subsonic.
Well, I was thinking like the VSS like Val, but
yeah, VSS Val, like the Ash 12. Yeah, like 45 AP stuff, the Vector and the UMP.
I mean, technically,
I mean, none of them are long range at all, really.
Technically, you could do an AK and put US ammo in there. Wait, is that subsonic?
Oh my god, it is, but yeah, the zeroing.
Yeah, I
Never
mean that's
zeroing.
you get into
You
another
need something with a
issue.
default. Yeah, you need something with a talking about just like annoying bugs. That's actually like my biggest, like longest standing bugbear. Actually, is the zeroing thing.
Yeah,
'Cause, like if you're gonna do this, you need to put it in a weapon that's got subsonic ammo as the default, because otherwise you're just screwed. Right?
you
You're
have to
just actually
play
screwed.
an entirely different game on top of Tarkov.
Yeah. Guess the height simulator. Holdover Manager 2025.
Yeah, it's so bizarre. What like the how some people have it like figured out to a science is crazy to me. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's
looking at you, Tower.
exactly yeah.
And there's others. There's lots of people who are like trying to help me while I was doing Lighthouse stuff, and it's just like, you need to just figure this stuff out. And I'm just like, I'm just not gonna, like I
Well,
just
it's
don't
just
want to.
made by worse that a lot of times it's like not always, but sometimes you have to just like aim extremely low because of the way the zeroing works
On
with
some stuff,
this.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, and that's just for me. That's just like beyond. Like it's just asking way too much. You know what I mean? It's like every
Yeah.
95% of video games, 99% of video game logic dictates otherwise. So I don't. It's like, oh, realism? No. Boom, mods shoot them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Get that out of there.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I do think the audio stuff needs to change. I mean, the only thing that I'm like slightly nervous about with it is you change it in such a way that then suppressors are just like not useful. It's just
Well,
it's such an annoying thing right now where it's like
yeah, I know. I hear
suppressors
you.
are amazing because the audio they produce after 100 meters is quite literally zero. So, but as soon as you make that any number that is non-zero, you now know where they are, which is the important thing. Right? It's like, why is that bad in the first place? Well, it's because people know exactly where you are. I mean, I suppose making it still pretty quiet. Yeah, there's a range element to it as well. You can hear somebody shooting an M4 from 600 meters or whatever, and if they're 300 meters away, that's not that far in Tarkov. You could get an angle on them, or like start scanning for them, or to try to cut someone off, like potentially, I suppose. And that if it's quietish up to 200 meters or 150 meters, then they don't necessarily get the dynamic range that you'd need to dictate exactly where they
Right.
are.
Like
It's
I feel like
harder. Like it's
I was gonna say I feel like the worst case scenario I was thinking in my head is like let's say it works like how suppressors currently do, where like okay, so this new system, 100, we'll say for simplicity, subsonic is 100 meters, and
Mm,
anything within that range, it plays the suppress.mp3 sound effect, and then there's
yeah.
a different one that's like regular ammo suppressed, and that's at 200 meters, but anywhere in between that thing, it's like the same sound effect, but it doesn't have any scaling on the volume. So whether you're like 1 meter away, it's at full blast volume suppressed, like it's quiet but it's suppressed, and then if you're at 199 meters away, it's still that same volume. So they would have to like integrate it into the sound engine,
Mm,
and then the plugins with not Unity, with the Meta and all the Oculus and all that stuff. I'm
yeah.
sure nothing could go wrong there. So cats in the bag in that one.
Yeah, exactly. We could increase the complexity of the audio system, no problem.
But that would be a more ideal solution for me. Is like instead of having like pure breakpoints, you could have like you could still have breakpoints for the subsonic thing, but like for the other stuff, it's just like
Mm.
you play the sound, and then based off the distance, reduces the sound for the user on the receiving end. I mean, I don't know how you code all that, but surely
Yeah,
someone
you just make
does.
it a lot flatter. Yeah, they
Yeah,
kind
I
of
mean,
make sense because then
because
it's
then
just
you
harder
could set it
to
to like
pinpoint.
a whatever target you want it to be. Like, let's say you want the target to be around 150 meters, and then it's like, but it's still registering on like the you're still getting a sound, but it's like so faint with like the Tarkov audio. It's like maybe you could hear it with like high, tier quality headsets. Like I don't know, I don't even know. There's so many new ones. XLR 3,
Contact 6 is probably the
yeah,
best, I think.
Contact 7.29 surround sound. It's like the ambience just like doesn't even register. But yeah, that's
Yeah,
something.
maybe something like that.
Yeah, something that's like yeah.
And then yeah, I mean the other stuff. I've always thought that kind of thing makes sense. Increase the the general richness of the choice. It shouldn't just, because right now, again, it's still just like suppressed or not suppressed, and then stats. That's basically it. Like this person says, you just start fiddling around with the biggest suppressor you physically can that gives you the biggest amount of recoil reduction, and then you probably look at a bit of ergo as well, just to like get a balance between the two. And it makes most of the suppressors just kind of crap. And there's so much stuff that they could do. Firstly, I still to this day think that loud builds should just outperform the suppressed builds on recoil. They just should. Like they just should. It's just, I know there's the ergo penalty, but like most people just don't really care. It just doesn't make sense. But then there's the stuff that they're talking about here is quite cool. So you got flash hiders, which as we say, hide the flash, and then you got suppressor, which you maybe want to use. But then there's a stat on the suppressors called loudness, which right now is completely unused. It's a stat on all of them. It exists in the game right now. Like the Wave QD I've got it right in front of me. It's got a loudness of -20. But then again, some of the actual muzzle breaks have it too.
Yeah,
weirdly.
I noticed that.
And then I've got the Ultra 5 here. That's like -22, but like it's just unused. It's an unused value. It doesn't do anything. I've proved this numerous times. And people in the dark arts of Tarkov have also told me that it literally doesn't do anything. So like they could use that, because then that would then allow us to, which actually isn't touched in this thread. It would give you more choice, but it also gives BSG more levers to do stuff. So people have been like asking to kind of get rid of suppressors. Like just try it, because it's they're annoying. But this would give you some kind of more choice. You then have crappy suppressors that don't actually reduce the loudness that much, but they're a bit better, and they're not as nowhere near as loud as actually being loud. And then you could like ban off the good suppressors or whatever and make them like found in raid or whatever you want to do, right? It just gives you options. Or you could have like, you don't even need to go crazy. I always get accused like, oh, you delete all the items from the game. I'm like, oh yeah, because I kind of want to play hardcore, but that's another question. But you could do like the best at the QDC. You could just get rid of that one. Even if you don't want to take it that far, I'm quite a fan of just getting rid of like the best one.
Yeah.
And put it in raid, or put it on the bosses, or put it wherever you want. Someone put it in Kibba or something. So you have to go and like find it. So you can't just buy it with cash, and it's like actually exciting when you see it. Like because some stuff used to be like that, and it's everything's on the traders, and nothing's really like that now. But even the Death Shadow, you can just like buy that from Ragman, which I still kind of disagree with. The Death Shadow like class 2 mask.
Oh yeah,
you just buy that from Ragman 4. So you can still get like pretty kitted out. But so like Classics plates now, you're just like, oh, Classics plate, kind of cool. So if you found a QDC, you'd be like, oh, that's kind of neat. And I still think the same should be for like suppressors and foregrips and pistol grips, like growls. I think the growls and the other one, the Ergo PSG grip. Again, I think they should be found in raid, because like all it does is it lowers the bar for the meta build to like, oh, what's the next thing that you can buy from the traders? Well, that's now the run of the mill. But if you find this one, like you've now got like the inaccessible holy grail item, and it's actually like kind of cool. And I don't think, because there's so many items in the game that are just unused.
Yeah,
I always feel like I think I just like got everybody to check their Steam, because I just literally got a DM. So everyone watching on the stream is just gonna be like, where's the DM? So we've got so many items in the game that a lot of them are just completely unused, right? And like, if you could even just keep it how it is now, right? And like take the second best item, just put that where the Graal is right now, or even just take one of the crappy ones, or like, I don't know. Just what I mean
just
to say
something.
is keep it the same, keep the same as it is now, and make the fan in raid one like even better.
Yeah,
but it's then not on the fleet and it's locked. So it's just like, okay, keep the Graal, sure, but make the Ergo PSG grip, another like 5 Ergo or something.
Sure. I mean,
like, that'd be lots, right? There'd be loads, but it's found in raid early, so it's actually sought after. And then make the the best suppressor, because if it's like completely not like purchasable or anything, and you have to go and find this thing. Like it can be really good. These things can be like insanely good.
Yeah, I mean,
because it's so good, and
like the Rotor 43, or is it 46? I don't know, but it looks like a can attached to a barrel, like, and it's innately or as it is in Tarkov, it's like not great recoil reduction and not great, like it has horrible, you tank the ergo, and like it's a relatively cheap suppressor. They're pretty common, but like you could do more with that, right? And you could have that being like, I don't know what would be the real life equivalent. Like maybe it's really good for suppression, and that's why all the other stats are bad. I have no idea. That's for someone else to figure out. But as you're saying, you could have different tiers, and then yeah, you could just have like an S tier one that's like it has amazing sound reduction, amazing recoil reduction, not that heavy on recoil or ergo penalty. It's just like it's the goat of suppressors, but it's like fool's gold. It's like you got to hit. I mean, they could put in a mushroom spawn. I don't know. I mean, you got to hit weapon crates. You got to be grinding for it. But that way, then
Hmm.
it's just like because if you do that, this is the thought I've always had. If you do that with enough of like the different trees of attachments, right? Like you take the entire PMC loadout and you like break it out as a tree, like a Da Vinci's Venn diagram. I don't know, whatever. But like in each one at the very end, you got like the S tier, like the 60 round drum mag, the Giga Chad helmet, face shield combo, glasses, whatever. You got the classics plate. You got the suppressor voodoo. Like if you make all those like the extreme ends, so much harder to like reliably get, then it's not gonna feel as bad for the average player when you fight up against Giga Chad, because Giga Chad doesn't have Exodia 24/7 constantly running,
True.
max strength through the lobby of Shoreline somewhere, jump shooting the scav in the head. You know what I mean? Like something to
Yeah.
where it's like still exciting, because that was the thing that I loved about early wipe is hitting weapon crates and finding like attachments and stuff. Like because it's like can't use a flea market. Gonna put this in my suppressor rig, and then maybe I'll be able to use it later. Um, but then I found just as you went up through the trader levels, it's just like things became a lot less relevant. Like one of the weird things was like, yeah, I think the Allen break. I'm pretty sure that's the one that I hate saying it like this, but that you got nerfed.
Oh, the alien tech
Oh
one.
yeah,
Yeah, that
alien
one.
tech.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Because I got it,
Yeah.
and it's like -8. If it's the one I'm thinking about, it's like -8
It still feels
recoil.
so hard done too.
It's like -8 recoil, -2 ergo, right? But like it's not, and it's like found in raid only. And like by the time I got to
Yeah.
like level 2, level 3 traders, like there were just better options. And not only that, but out of all the options I had, like it was like here's a suppressor that's -3 recoil, -1 ergo, +3 accuracy. I'm sorry, I said a suppressor, I meant a muzzle break. Here's another muzzle break. It has the exact same stats, but instead of having -3 accuracy, it has -2. It's like what? And
Yeah.
then it's like, okay, well, let me look at the secondary stats like the heating and cooling factor, and like 9 times out of 10, they're all just like some default 0.2. There's like a few that are like instead of like a big number like 4, but like even then, it feels like none of that stuff ever comes into play. It's just you have all these choices, but in reality, you have one choice, which is like the the only sensible choice. You know what I mean? It's like the only rational choice, and it's very frustrating to play.
Yep. Yep. No, exactly. Yeah. I feel like that it would be a lot better if, yeah, rather than it just being, because it's such a simple optimization problem right now. Like if you had more of these qualitative things like, oh, it hides the flash, or it's, this is better or worse for loudness, and then that interacts with the price and the scarcity, and then, et cetera, et cetera. But then, oh, you can get better recall from this one, or better this and that. And it's like, it makes it more, it actually makes it like, that's actually how you make things less meta, honestly. 'Cause
Yeah.
you just give people viable choice, right? And,
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like so straightforward. It's just like, oh, we don't want to have metas, but like, you need to give people choices then, and give people like different choices for different reasons. That's what
Yeah.
Tarkov's so good at in the first place. That's why people don't play in the same way. It's, a sniper guy is going to pick a different suppressor than to a CQB dude or whatever. In this formulation. So yeah, I don't know. I think it could be good, but I mean, whether they're even going to try and do something like this, I have no
Uh,
idea. I mean, it seems like one of those things that wouldn't make the 1.0 cut for a rework. I wouldn't have thought.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would really like maybe not the suppressor stuff, but like the muzzle stuff, I would really like to do because it is so boring building the exact same guns, and like even early wipe, it's like half the stuff you loot is just like it's it all comes down to the ergo and the recoil reduction. This is the other thing that's kind of like frustrating too, is as you unlock better parts, you kind of get like quote unquote free ergo. Like it's not actually free, like you're still paying for it, but like I guess a good example is the Scorpius one for the AKs, or the is it the F1 grip for the AR platforms? What's the one that's like it's really cheap but it has like good ergo for the like the price to performance ratio for the AR? It's
It
like a
might be the
pistol.
F1 like version 2 or something, like one
Okay.
of those.
Yeah, but I think I'm the same one. I mean, it's basically like skeleton eyes ish.
But without the paracord, because that one's like, if that one's the best in slot one for the M1A and it's finally made only, hooray! It's like the way that it should be, But
And
it's
it's
worse than
only
the
one
grass, you know,
extra ergo.
and it's only like the M1A as well,
Yeah. I
and
mean,
no one uses
you
that gun
can't
anymore.
put it on some shotguns. Did you know? Fun fact.
Oh, did you? Can you do that? It's like the other day when I've suddenly realized you can put the bipod on like the Saiga 12 shotty.
Oh my god.
What? Flechette with no recoil.
I mean, yeah, I was thinking maybe AP-20 sniper, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, what do you think about the muzzle devices no longer functioning on these suppressors? Part of that.
I think that's one way of doing it. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I don't know. I don't actually know whether that would be better than just
Like,
reducing the recoil component on the suppressor. I don't know. I'm
yeah,
not
I
sure. I
mean,
don't know which way would be better to do it. You could do it either way.
to be clear, just what they're saying is because how it currently works when you have a muzzle brake and then you have a suppressor on top of the muzzle brake to like attach it,
Mhm.
you're basically like double dipping in stats. You get the bonus stats from the muzzle brake and then the bonus stats from the suppressor. And so
Yeah.
they're suggesting like basically when you attach the suppressor, presumably the suppressor overwrites. Yeah, I mean they say here that's all you get. You get the suppressor stats. You lose the muzzle brake stats. The muzzle brake acts
Yeah.
as like a hybrid 45 thread adapter at that point.
Yeah. I think it's kind of annoying. It's sort of unintuitive and kind of annoying to do it
Mm-hmm.
that way, which is why I'd probably just nerf the suppressors personally. But I mean, yeah, I mean, you could do it that way. But yeah, I just think suppressors are still just a little bit too good. I mean, to be fair, in 762 NATO these days, the BMD is actually better than the QDC. So you do now get but it's like 1%. It's like very minimal. It's very, very minimal. And that's the thing with all of the other advantages you get,
Yeah,
and the fact that you can usually, with the good guns, you can usually deal with the downside
that's what I was
on
gonna
ergo
say.
without having to worry about it. That's the thing. It's like it's different if you're going from the Ergonator 9000, it's an 8 kilogram M1A that takes you 3 business days to lift it up to your eye versus some snappy thing. But most of the time, it's not like that. It'll be, something that's like just within the bounds of overswing for like the
Mm-hmm.
meta builds. So you get okay ADS speed. It's like, you're going from, I don't know, 60, 80 millisecond overswing to like, ADS speed to like 120. So it's not all that impactful. But then the recoil is a lot more, and then you get all the benefits of suppression too. So I just always thought the suppressors should just be worse in general.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because that's what I was attempting to go before I lost my train of thought with the asking questions about the pistol grips for different ones, is because that system and kind of the foregrips as well, as long with a lot of the other parts like the handguards and railguards, a lot of them are just like more ergo, right? So it's like this kind of linear progression. I mean, granted, you're paying more money, but let's be real here. Money isn't. It's usually access. It's the bigger blocker
Ooh.
than anything. Um, but anyways, you're kind of like increasing the floor every time. So it's like, yeah, at a level, quote unquote, level 1 AK, a stock AK with like a suppressor on is like pretty unwieldy. But
Hmm.
like once you start adding on all these like free ergos, and actually that reminds me of something. There's a new mount for the dovetails, and it's kind of finicky on what it can and can't work on. But what you can do, you can put a bastion rail on top, right, on like a regular AK with a dovetail, and then you attach this like God, I would have to like boot up the game or something to find
I
it.
think I know. I think I know what it is. I think it's called the AK-303M side rail.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure.
And there's another attachment for that. And then I think
Yeah.
that secondary attachment gives you 2 ergo, and it's meant to be like a side mount for the dovetail where you can mount your own like kilometer, right?
Yeah.
But for the reason they gave it like one of the components of it, bonus 2 ergo, and basically what you could do is you could have it like not have a sight on there and still have a main sight on your AK. So they just kind of increased, I don't know how intentional this was or wasn't, but effectively the base ergo for the AKs has like gone up by, well, certain AKs have gone up by like 2 with this attachment. But they did lock it behind like Skier 4 or something. So I don't know. Maybe there was some. I'm not. I don't know. I'm just going with what the pieces as they fall. Okay.
Yeah, I remember when I first saw that, I was like, that's in the wrong place because it's 2-part, and with the Bastion rail, you can only attach the lower part because the upper part, like the Bastion rail's in the way, right? Because that's the bit where the scope goes on. So I was like, they should have just added the 2 ergo to the upper bit. Because then you only get the advantage
Well, I
when you're
think
like
it is on the upper
actually
bit.
using it. No, it's on the lower bit.
Is it?
It's on the lower bit. It's
Okay.
100% on the lower bit. So you could add it to like the RD704. You just make the meta build
Yeah.
and then you just add it for 2 ergo. So funny.
I love
It's
BSB.
so funny. As soon as I saw that, I was just like, no, why would you put it there? That doesn't make sense. It's so stupid. There was one other part. There's an M4 part. I've not really used the M4 that much this wipe. There's
Oh
a new part for the
yeah.
M4 as well, which is called the BAD lever bolt release. Battery assist device lever. And that gives you 2 more ergonomics. And that just it just goes on.
But
Just
see
goes on the gun.
that one's actually interesting because with certain different upper receivers, it's incompatible. I think that was the case. I think it was the upper.
Oh, that is true. Actually, I've hardly played with it, but yeah, you're right. You can't actually put on the good ones. You can only put on the Gen 3 or the ADAR with that. You can't use the Ultor. You can't use the TX15 or the AX15 one. So the X15 one is the Ergo one, and the Ultor one is the Rico one. So yeah,
But
doesn't work with those.
What trader level is it locked behind?
Oh goodness.
You might have to
let
pull
me
up the wiki
see.
for that one, eh?
Yeah, maybe.
Might be the
Yeah,
easiest
but
way.
that's again, as I said, it's on mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
Let me look actually.
This suspense is killing me. I can't wait. I'm just dying to rip into this.
What is it on? It's on mechanic. Drum roll. 3.
I don't know. I feel like it's a little high, but it's not the end of the world. If it was like Mechanic 4, but yeah, that's ridiculous. Because you're putting like because like presumably you want to put this on like a stock M4 with just like the Colt upper receiver.
That's all you can do, or an ADAR. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean you could put on the Gen. What was the other one? The Gen.
Yeah, you could put it on. Yeah, the TX15 one basically.
Yeah. The it's like high ergo, okay recoil, not as good as the. I can't even remember what.
Not as good as the AX15.
Yeah, thank you. There's too many letters and words mixing into each other.
I know.
Anyways.
I just Most of them, it's just like I don't know. I've looked at them so many times for the most part. Like this lever thing, I haven't, but I've just built so many guns and I've written so many scripts. It's funny because it's one of those things where until you're actually like writing something formally to then teach to other people, you kind of have like a vague sense of whatever. But like once you've like gone through the proper process and actually analyzed everything and being like, trying to make the best that you can out of it. Partly, just for the sake of that, and then partly to avoid someone being like, "Oh, but what about the?" Because, if there's
right,
it's like the best peer review ever. You're going to talk about some builds, like you'd better be kind of right because one person out of the 30,000 people who are going to see it, like, if there's something that's better, they'll tell you. So, like through that process of iteration, I've basically been taught everything about this game. My own research first, and then the eye of Sauron level scrutiny from the community, which teaches me all of the little things that I've forgotten over the years, which has ended up like searing half this stuff into my mind. So, I mean, it's good. It's definitely good if you want to make videos about Tarkov gun builds. That's definitely good. Right. So yeah, breaks. I think we're probably done on breaks, are we? That's probably it.
Yeah, I just really hope they do something because it's like the potential. I mean, it's fine as is, I guess. Like it's fine, but like I just it feels so clear as day to me how it like could be so much more better.
Yes. I mean, you've tasted from the poison chalice.
Yeah. I mean, that was like above and beyond, honestly, when I'm like you know what I mean? It's like my expectations because it's deceptive, right? When you get into Tarkov, you see like you get all this like sensory overload. It's like, oh my god, there's all these stats. Like, how's all this? And then once you really like dive deep into it, it's like, oh, so 3 out of the 152 options are actually the only options. Okay, you know what I mean? And then you play Tarkov SP Realism on, you're like, oh my god, this is like infinite options, you know, which is like a totally different extreme. I just want the current fake 152 options to be, at least 90 real options. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yep.
really all. Like, anyways, like yeah, it's hard. That's all I'm gonna say. Because I also have to like balance my expectations with a company like Valve and Dota 2, which I'm just like so used to live service type of game where it's like every 6 months I can expect a major update and they're going to like make things that were previously basically unplayable extremely playable, but not just like buffing. They're gonna like rework it. It's gonna be a completely new design, and it's just like I want to like apply that to Tarkov because Tarkov has like the legs of that. Like the foundation's there. It's just not been paved. No one's actually gone through and paved it, but it's a lot of work. Someone's got to be super knowledgeable on this, and it's like just from the balancing side, but then
Yeah.
also from the coding side. So it's tough as they're constantly developing the game and increasing technical debt year after year, but that's a discussion.
Indeed. Indeed. Okay. All right. Was there what did you was there anything else? I don't there's a mystery mystery box on our
I mean, I really don't have anything
to-do list. Is
else.
that is that is that for the end? I don't know what this is, by the way, for anybody who's reading the
It's
Chungus
just
box under Chichi's face. I think
it just says F my Chungus life. It's
it,
just my new Chungus is my new word. I have nothing pressing Tarkov nor unrelated. I mean, I could talk about games that I've been playing. I've been playing a bit of Marvel Rivals. It's like it's a fine game. It's like Overwatch, but third person and Marvel characters. It's like fine. It is kind of interesting though, because have you ever played Overwatch?
I played Overwatch, yeah.
Okay, it's like the two interesting points is in competitive you can ban heroes, which I like a lot. I love
Hmm.
the Dota 2 stuff, but you can have mirror matches, which I still find kind of odd, but maybe that's fine for this type of game. And the roster is still ongoing, let's say.
Hmm.
But anyways, and then the other thing is they have like what they're calling team ups. And so if you pick, I mean, are you familiar with Marvel's IPs, characters, popular
I
ones?
mean, I'm not like I'm not a big like I wouldn't say I'm a big fan, but like I'm obviously broadly aware.
Okay. Um, like basically, if you have certain characters on the same team, you get like either like special passives or like completely new abilities added.
Hmm.
Um, like one is like Captain America and Thor. Captain America then gets a new ability where his shield becomes energized by like
That's kind
Thor's
of cool.
lightning. Yeah, and then like he basically has a 20-second cooldown ability that makes him into like a range character for a bit. Which, anyways, long and short of it, I just thought that was an interesting component because then it's like strategy for like building team comps and stuff. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
nowhere near anywhere remotely in this, and I don't really plan to be, but I'm just playing like casually. But I could see like the high end, people being like, "Oh, if we do this, we ban this hero, then they can't do that." Because some of them, it's like the team ups require like a core person. So if you ban
Mm.
that core person, then all
It
those
doesn't work.
associated, yeah. Um, but yeah, it's like you don't have to do that, and like I could see like the strategy all into it. So it's kind of I thought that's kind of neat, but yeah, that's kind of what I've been up to. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, we've actually ended up. It's interesting because there's a new Dota patch out, and I think this is like the
I
first
saw that.
time. This is like the first time in genuinely years that I've actually like ever read it, because we're sort of on a bit of a Dota like thing right now. I've like mentioned it here and there as time's gone on, but basically like the rest of the group have entered into this like fun tourney,
Oh,
and
cool. Oh, I
I'm a
think you told me about
stand-in.
this. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I did mention it. So I'm a stand-in, and in our first three games, I stood in for two of the games. So I actually ended up playing like most of the games. But they did actually do one today, which I wasn't part of, which is fine because like I just couldn't commit to it because it's just too difficult. It's just too difficult most of the time. But I didn't want to be like on the hook for being there the whole time. I'm happy to stand
Hmm.
in, when I'm free, but whatever. But anyway, it means that we have actually like been playing a bit more, and it has actually been pretty good. It's been pretty enjoyable. I've genuinely quite enjoyed it. Like I typically flip between 1 and 5 in the past, and these days I'm pretty much just playing support. I'm just playing 5 like every game. And it's kind of good actually. I don't know. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. I do feel like I can be quite impactful, especially with certain choices. And I'm trying to like branch out as well, so I actually have like more than like a hero droplet, which is what I had before previously. Just like hardly any heroes I actually played. So no, it's definitely been interesting. We were playing with like the tournament one was playing with some guy who's like 4.5K or something. So it was like actually learn some stuff, rather than just us just stagnating as we always do. Like we just like turn on and play the game. I've
Yeah,
been
yeah,
like
yeah.
reading a little bit recently about like deliberate practice a little bit,
Mm.
which is kind of interesting concept just generally for life and everything. About you can improve quickly at stuff if you're doing deliberate practice, but if you're just like doing the thing, you're not really thinking about it. You're just an autopilot. You're not really like, improving. Right? Deliberate practice is
Mm.
kind of hard, and that's why people don't do it, because it's kind of hard. You have to be thinking. It's tiring, right? You have to be constantly doing stuff all the time. And so but like with somebody else to focus you a bit, it's like, oh, actually, it's kind of easy to then like, oh, I should be doing this, should be doing that, rather than just running on autopilot. So I've been kind of enjoying that. Like, yeah, read through. I didn't read through every single patch note, but I do love the Doge podcast, by the way, that come out with like the patch notes. It's like, oh, here's like a short summary, and it's like 4.5 hours long.
What
You
is it
know,
like an official Dota 2 podcast? What's the Dota? Oops,
no,
what is it?
I'm just saying like Dota 2, like people who just like post content creators, or whatever, like podcasts who like
Oh
post
yeah,
stuff.
Surge
It's
or
like
Purge. Purge is
yeah, you have like the
8
purge one.
hour.
We were joking, my friend, because one of them someone basically sent me one of them and was just like, oh, this one's like a good rundown. It was like 4.5 hours, and I was like 4.5 hours, like oh my god. They were like, yeah, just listen on to 2x speed, it's fine. Like it's not gonna be as long as Purge's one. I was just like, yeah, legends still say that Purge is still going from the last patch, but but I mean, they're huge. In fairness, the
Yeah,
patch notes are absolutely enormous, because it's like changes to, I don't even know how many heroes there are in Dota now, like 130 or something.
yeah.
And they're just
So
like,
I happened to see. I think it was like Steam. My library said Dota 2 got an update, and I clicked on it and I was like, look at the patch notes, and I saw terms that I didn't even know existed, like universal heroes. I'm like,
oh yeah,
what?
yeah, it's mad,
And then they got
it's crazy.
facets or
Yeah,
facets. I just
facets. Yeah,
mine completely, and that's like not even in this patch that came. That's like patches ago. So I'm just like, oh, and honestly, it makes us like I was because I read they reworked the map, and I looked at it a little bit, and it's like, water has overflown and you can like move to
This
lanes
time is
faster.
stuff everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, this looks fun. I was like, what if I downloaded Dota 2 again?
Oh my god.
And then I saw like all these other things I don't even know about, and it makes it so intimidating. So I'm just, oh my god, it's like literally starting from ground zero. Like no previous, everything I previously knew gone.
Yeah, the map's like pretty different. So yeah, I found there's 126 heroes now.
Are there still
Like every
shrines?
time. Um, like what do you mean?
Like base, like I think the last time I played there was like base shrines where you could activate them and heal people in the area.
There's these things now called they're sort of shrines, but they're like I can't remember. I don't know what their official name is. I can't remember. They've got these like lotuses in, so they spawn these like lotuses that you grab, and they're like an item that you like to carry around. It's like heal and mana. And then there's this other one. They've just
Okay,
changed it. It used to be called the Tormentor, and it was like a cube that was like chained to the ground.
I
And
saw that a little bit.
if you killed that, one person on your team randomly gets the Ag Shard, like one of your
Okay,
characters. Because there's an Ag
huh?
Shard. I don't know if Ag Shard was in when you last played.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, and then so that's changed to something. So it's like looks slightly different now, and they've moved the position. And Roshan's back in the water, and there's water everywhere. The map's like really weird now, like really hard to ward on and stuff. So it's like it's very very strange. But yeah, it's weird, like because we've been playing for so long. I think we were looking the other day at our it's like Dota buff accounts or whatever, and I think my first game is something like 2012 or something like that. So we've been playing
Wow,
for like all eternity, but just like
so
never
crazy.
played it like that seriously. Do you know what I mean? Like
Right.
there was a period in time where we played it pretty seriously. You know, my first game. Oh no, it's 2013. My first game was like October 2013. It's like genuinely 12 years ago, which is mental. And we've gone through like you can look at like the Dota buff for my account, and it's like there was literally 3 years where I played like 7 games, and then like then we played again, and then I played like a little bit and then stopped for 6 months, and then we played again for 3 months, and then we stopped again, and then we didn't play for 2 years, and then we started playing again. It's like it's so crazy. It's actually so crazy how long this thing has been. And every time we turn back up after like 6 months, I'm just like, oh, there's a new hero that I didn't even know existed. And yeah, it's wild. It's fun if you've got a group and that everybody's playing. You know, I'm never going to be like the most enthusiastic Dota participant within our group. So when everyone's playing, I will play. You know, when no one's playing, I won't be playing. Is this the way it is? So it all depends on the will of the crowd, if that makes sense. So yeah, I mean, I still feel like a Dota noob in many ways. Like I'm really not very good. I think when we looked at because they had to submit like even because none of us are actually calibrated or anything. Like no one plays solo queue. So we had to like submit MMRs based on like Dota Buff and what other sites where they look at who you played with and look at their calibrations or the people that they played with and their calibrations that you can eventually kind of bootstrap where the matchmaker's putting you, broadly speaking. And we're all like 2 to 2.5, 2.7, so something like that. MMR. I never converted over to there's these actual ranks in there now, like Herald, Guardian, and all this stuff. Like I never understand that because that came in after I stopped playing seriously. But I think when we like averaged our thing up, we're like literally like right in the middle. We're just like the average player of Dota 2 these days, like just the slap bang average.
Is it still like
So
what 2K ish for average? I don't know if they changed
I
the
think I
numbers.
think it was something like that, like yeah, 2, 2, 3, 2, 5, somewhere around there. So but yeah, we're just pretty average, but that's fine. You know, we have a good time, and it's interesting. It's interesting to play, even as
Yeah,
you can try and think and do stuff, whatever, even if you're not playing like routinely. So
and Dota, I really do like. I think I've just come because you were talking about how you played. What was it, 2012? You originally played.
yeah, and I've played I've played I think 2,000 hours of Dota 2. So I'm like and I don't consider myself good in any way,
Yeah.
which is crazy. But I mean, it's 2,000 hours over 12 years. So
But still, how many games like have that like
chess
yeah,
and like
okay.
other stuff like that. It's like it's things like that, right? And I've still pretty Dota is one of the best games ever made, in my opinion. Still believe that. But if you want to like actually play it seriously, then it's very disruptive. Like the game's very disruptive to your actual life.
Yeah,
Which is why one of the
yeah.
reasons why I stopped playing, because it's like undetermined length of time, like extremely focus intensive, right? Like it's the
Probably
only analogy
why.
I've ever made was when I used to play like 1v1 competitive RTS. It was the only thing that compared. Like I could never really understand until I played it like why it's so intensive. There's just zero downtime
Yeah,
when you're playing the
there really
game.
is.
There's just no
Any
downtime. You did like
downtime is like you're actively losing, basically.
yeah, or you're like, and you need to be like looking around the map, looking for opportunities, seeing what other people have got, like clicking on people, seeing items. Like there's always more that you could be doing. That's what reminds me of like 1v1 RTS. There's always something you could be doing.
Hmm.
And I play 3 games, and it feels like my brain's leaking out my ears. You play EFT, but there's the queue, the match, and the same thing with Dota. But then when you're in the game, it's like you could just like chill in a bush for a minute if you want to. Right? If you need to go and like run and answer the door, you can kind of do that in Tarkov. Whereas like in Dota 2, you just you can't do that, really, and it's not really okay. So it's very very intensive, which is good. I mean, it should be like that. So the game itself is great in a vacuum, but yeah, I don't know.
There's a
It's
lot
tough.
of like depth, like it has a lot of teeth, and like once it gets a hold of you, it's like it's hard to turn that off, I guess, in a sense, because it's like there's so much depth, and you're like enjoying the process of improving and
Mm.
whatnot. It's like a
And it's
really,
kind of yeah.
I don't know, like a very. I was trying to think, like it's like kind of like a card game, like Magic. I don't know much about the Magic, but I know enough that there's
Mm.
expansions. Like they're still making expansions and stuff, and like yeah, there's power creep and stuff, whatever. But it's like a similar concept. It's like the game is like constantly evolving. It feels like so. Like probably for that reason alone, it's like not a very easy game to like pick up and play. Something
Oh yeah.
like I'm trying to think what like because it's hard too, like video games, because video games are kind of like a harder, like single player games are a bit different. Um, but I guess you could use the same analogy. Anyways, and then I was thinking too, like CS or like Counter Strike, CS:GO, what have you, has kind of like a similar thing, but like I don't feel it has as much depth in terms of like the strategy aspects, because that's what I liked a lot about Dota when I played it. It was like the strategy side was like so deep. It's like playing some insane card games with a bajillion mechanics. But then you have an action component kind of mixed into it as well. So there's like which is like, similar for like CSGO, but like the seesaw is like in opposite directions comparing one to the other. Like CSGO, I would say, is probably a lot more heavy on like the reflex reaction, mouse mechanical stuff. Strategy is like definitely important too, but like Dota feels like it's like a lot more strategy. It's like a heavier on the strategy side than the mechanical side. It's like you can make more mechanical mistakes, and you're not as punished as you would be in like Counter Strike.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like still important, but not as bad. The thing that I just enjoy so much about the game is that it's just the general thought process, and hearing people also who are like, you know, well, once you're into it as well, which I'm still like, even now we're playing a bit, I'm just like, I still don't really like, I don't do enough reading around or like watch enough stuff or whatever to like
Yeah,
really know what's happening. So I kind of like the bit that I really like, I can't really do, which is a shame. But the work, what's great is doing like the drafts, and like it's all the counters. It's all the
yeah,
counters, because you want to do a strategy, but then they might figure out what that is and might ban it before you get to do it. And then even when they're doing it, it's like you don't know what build they're going to do. And then when they build something, you then have to like counter it using your items. So it's like it's a bit like such like constant countering. Oh, they've gone for this, or now we need to go for this, and it's like trying to change strategies on the fly. And because it's really, that's why it acts more like an RTS in some ways, because you're like trying to make these strategic decisions. You don't have time to really make them. You just have to like pick something, and then
hmm
afterwards you go like, oh yeah, we should have done this, or oh, we could have picked that. So next time we see this, like, oh, I know to do that. And I just love that level of it, where I'm like, especially recently when we've been like in captain's mode, and I just sit quiet, honestly, because I don't know enough now to make any actual calls. But like hearing somebody's like good thought process when they know all the heroes and they know all the items and they know all the combinations or whatever, and they're just like, oh well, if we do this and pick that, and then oh no, but what if they no, but this is a good no, this hero is good against these two heroes, but
yeah.
it's gonna be bad if they pick this later, and like it's all of that stuff. Like I really love that.
Oh yeah,
Like when we used to go and watch the tournaments or whatever, and I used to sit in the crowd and just be like, I used to do like I've probably said before, but I used to do like tiny like micro betting on one of the like gambling websites, do like £1 or £2 bets on each game just to like have a stake in it, and like because
Mm.
I don't follow any of the teams, so it's like, well, I want to back the team. I usually look at the draft and then pick the team that I think is going to win based on the draft. So then I'm like rooting for the team that I've picked, that I think the draft's better, and you're like looking at all the combinations, like which one, yeah, but then is this going to work out? Like how's this going to end? And that's the bit that I really like.
Yeah, for
But yeah,
sure.
I can't quite access it right now because I'm not investing enough time into actually like getting like being at that level. Like, you don't even need to be that good like mechanically or skillful. You just need
No,
to like
it's just like
know enough. Because
knowledge.
if you're a spectator, then you don't even need to do it, right? You just need to then know enough. You can just
Hmm.
purely focus on the strategy side without thinking about the execution. Um, no, it's good though. It's a good one. So yeah, I've been enjoying that. Definitely been enjoying that.
Yeah, that's cool. That's basically why I'm excited for Deadlock, because it feels
Have
like
you
it's
played
like
much more?
not recently. Since they changed their update schedule, I've like kind of lost interest. Simply because like it's just like they basically went from like I think it was monthly updates, or no, it was every other Thursday, which was kind of crazy. Um, and like some updates were more significant than others, and then they were like, "Hey, we're gonna slow things down." Um, you know, what blah 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 whatever, and that was fine. Like yeah, it's and like yeah, like the player count has been dropping, but
Mm.
it's kind of like expected now. People are like the people who are like really into it, because like Marvel Rivals kind of came out around that time because it was weird because Deadlock was kind of like catching players from Overwatch, but it really isn't like an Overwatch type of game,
Yeah.
So like a lot of them like migrated to Marvel Rivals, which is understandable. Anyways, but I'm just kind of waiting for like a big, more significant patch because it just feels like it's been a lot of samey stuff as of late, and I don't know. It's just kind of like it. I like it, but at the same time, it's just kind of a bit boring trying to do the same stuff. Like I like to do the wacky stuff. I was like alchemist
Yeah.
support, baby. Let's do this. Like church, you got mad. No, I'm cooking. Let me cook. Anyways,
I know. I have a friend like that that loves just doing like wacky stuff. They like pull out like ags that I don't even know exists, and then they'll like not say anything, and then it suddenly turns up in the middle of a game, and we'll be like, "What is this?" They're like, there's some unknown ags that no one uses because it's definitely not good, but it is funny. Like we had the oh god, what was that one? There was one that was amazing because I play a lot of Crystal Maiden,
uh
and
huh.
they went for Centaur Warrunner, and
Oh,
I didn't even know what was happening basically, and I used my ult, and they picked me up in the back of the cart
oh
and
yeah, I
carted
heard
me
about
around
that.
in their base, and I was just like, I mean, I couldn't do anything anyway. I'm channeling an ability,
uh
so I'm just like stuck there. And I was just laughing so hard down my microphone, just like, what is happening here? It's like chasing enemy heroes like in a cart, like this is just so goofy. Like
yeah,
how has this
yeah.
happened? Um, so yeah, funny stuff like that. It's good though. That's interesting. Not just the same old, you know. I kind of do too much of the same old really. I need people around me who are like doing goofy stuff to like counterbalance the sensible like.
Well, problem with the goofy stuff is you have to have friends that tolerate your goofiness. If people are too invested, in your goofiness, may appear to be a detriment. Because in some ways, you are kind of like experimenting with. It's like, oh,
Hmm.
I got this theory about a very particular build.
Hmm.
Like I don't know why I was like pretty fixated on Necrophos mid at one point, and I would rush like Urn and then rush the upgraded Urn, I forget what it's called. And I was like, oh, I could like make this work and you can be like instead of like doing this more because people were playing like an off lane and he was kind of like a just like a tanky hero. If you're having a really good game, you build Radiance. But I did like this weird like HP draining thing because cast the I would get like an Urn charge really fast because here's kind of broken in lane, and then you'd upgrade to Super Urn, and then you would throw that on someone and does like pure damage, and then you activate your Death Shroud thing that also does like pure damage, and so you just watch your
Yeah.
HP go like it just like gets melted, and then you ult them, and then you kind of snowball off that, and I would build like ags, I think, which like increased your decaying rates and like made
But to
them
give you
even
more threshold on the ult or
slower.
something and
It used
stuff
to
like
be
that.
that, but then it was like it made your death shroud like
It keeps changing.
it
All this
keeps
stuff. Like I
changing.
always
Yeah,
say this. It's so funny. Like genuinely, most of what I know about the game is like 2013 to 2016. And I say
I
something, people are
know
just like, "It hasn't been like that for 9 years, Giga." I'm just like, I know.
it's tough,
Yeah.
but yeah, good times.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. But yeah, like other than that, I've not actually been doing. Not been doing a great deal of other stuff. Just doing the evening streams, doing a bit more streaming in the evening, and that's been fun. Just like figuring out what we're going to talk about next, and doing like M61 stuff in EFT, and well, that really, I think. I go through these like show watching sprees, and I'm kind of like more onto that. There's nothing that I really want to play like right now. I've got a huge backlog of games, but I just don't really want to. So like going through, finishing off like shows that I needed to watch that like I've either seen the first season and I like actually good, or I like got berated into watching the first season, and so I should watch the rest of it. So like when I watched like Arcane season 2, I watched
Oh
second season
yeah.
of The Silo. I'm about to watch second season of Severance. There's like
Oh my
a lot
god,
of good
Severance
stuff.
is so good, Giga.
Severance
I have
is
a
very good, yeah.
friend who's like, and it's just like it's like Thursday cannot come fast enough for me. It's just like I gotta see the next thing. That show is really good. I love that show.
Yeah, it's good. It is good. So yeah, I'm kind of doing that in a minute actually, rather than
Yeah.
dabbling with Dota 2. But I go through these like waves. So we'll see. We'll see. I've still there's a lot of stuff on the radar,
Hmm.
but yeah, no, it's I'm sure I've been doing something else, but I can't remember now. I can't remember. And come back to me about 5 minutes after we end the end the show. Like, oh yeah, this interesting thing. It's like crazy stuff. Like I was like looking at just like random things last night. Something popped up on Twitter, right? And it was like a picture that some dude had taken of the Andromeda galaxy, which is like it's the next galaxy away from the Milky Way. And he'd taken it from his like backyard or whatever, on a telescope over 30 days or something, with like a whole bunch of different things. And they like sent me down this Wikipedia black
I
hole of
love
just like
those.
random stuff. And I ended up the sum of like this. I mean, to be fair, it wasn't the whole wasn't actually that long, but the end process of it was me downloading the Hubble telescope's largest ever photo,
Oh, cool.
which was of the Andromeda galaxy, which you can see on Wikipedia, and it's like a slice of it. And the picture is like 300 meg. It's like 0.3 of a gig, this photo, right? And you can't load it up. I'm struggling to find. I was like, what should I open this in? Maybe one of the Adobe programs. I didn't try that actually, but like I tried opening it in Paint, because I was like, well, maybe that's going to work. But Paint won't load the whole picture at once. You can't zoom out enough to actually for it to render.
Whoa.
So you have to like zoom in on this thing, but you can see like the whole galaxy, and it just looks like a continuous gradient. But if you scroll in enough, you just scroll in, you can actually you see all of the discrete stars like start to appear out of the thing, and it's just like the most dense, like it's just stars, the whole thing. It's just, and you can see them like distinctly, and that's like one layer. It's like this thing's 3D, right? Like you can't see past the first layer because this thing's like freaking 3D in reality, but you're just seeing like the picture. So it's unimaginable scale, It's like one of those things that puts your like whole world and everything in
Oh, because it's
context.
like a panoramic.
No, it's not panoramic. It's
Oh.
literally just a photo. But like you're like there's an unimaginable number of stars here in this photo. You can't
Mm,
even see half of them, right? Because the resolution is still not good enough.
right.
And yet that's just like the front layer, because we're just like
What's
taking a
beyond
picture of it.
that? Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's like it's all this thing has like thickness
Hmm.
as much as it does width. It's like you can only see like one part. It's like, oh my god, it's crazy. So that's kind of the random stuff I ended up looking at the other day. I mean, I ended up getting quite into astronomy because of the kids, actually, because they actually find it quite fascinating. My eldest is 4, and so she is really into space and stuff. All kids are, because they're less
Hmm.
like, whoa, like, I mean, they have that initial. We all get bored of it, right? When we get forget the wonder of looking up at this stuff. But so we've been like tracking planets going through the sky like each night and stuff whenever it's clear and things like that. So I'm kind of in a space. I'm in the space zone. It's like one of the, I get into these modes where I just want to watch Interstellar again.
Oh yeah,
That kind of deal. So yeah, just like random stuff like that, which is fun. It's good though. It's nice. It's good to keep a sense of wonder.
absolutely.
It is. Absolutely need to. Absolutely need to. There's the world it tries to bog us down and make us too boring, but we need to keep the childlike sense of wonder and exploration and discovery and learning and whatnot. Because there's a lot of amazing things out there. Too easy to get bogged down in reality.
Yes, life can be so beautiful when you're not on Lighthouse. I tell you, the
Yeah.
state agents constantly sniping me on Lighthouse, always trying to get me down. State mandated quest failures. You just gotta bear through it.
Oh goodness me. Yeah. Last word on that. I genuinely think I just need to start leaving the map more. Just spawn in
Yeah,
and
I don't
go,
know.
I'm out of here.
I'm genuinely glad I didn't torture myself doing that because I did that previously and it was really rough. And I just don't know if I can do the really grindy stuff like the sitting in a bush and watching Netflix on the side. You know, I just never really been a fan of any of that.
I
Like
know.
for like a few things, I'll do it for maybe. Like I've done it for strength training on, or no, health training on Shoreline. But yeah, it's whatever works for you. Best of luck to you.
Mhm.
I'll
Yep.
try to pay off the state agents from sniping you. Give them a little tip. You know, send them to some other streamer. And with that,
Ah,
we will conclude today's episode. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We'll see you all next week.
catch you later.